All right, everyone, here we are, still working on the Kohler Courage XT7 single cylinder OHV engine, and today will be the last day of disassembly. So we're going to break it down all the way today. So we pick up here where we're going to remove the oil dipstick. All right. So here's the dipstick. That's where we'd add oil. It's held on by this hex bolt. It's a 10 millimeter, just like 90%. The rest of the engine, we'll pull the dipstick out. Now when you're checking oil, you put the dipstick in the engine and you can see the L for low and the F for full. And when you're checking oil, you want your oil level to be right in that crosshatch pattern right in there. So you'd put your oil in little bits at a time, put the dipstick in, look to see where your oil level is, and add or drain accordingly. Now, if you remember the first day we started digging into this engine, on the first few pages of the manual, one of the pieces of information was the oil capacity. So technically, if you had a measuring cup, you could give this engine the exact amount of oil that it's supposed to take, but not everyone does that. So the dipstick is there to make sure that your oil level is good. And I'll reinstall this bolt so I don't lose it. All right, so next we're going to remove the oil pan, sometimes called the crankcase cover, and that's held on with these flathead or these 6 hex flange screws. And I've already started the loosening process, so we got to flip the engine over. We got a little oil coming out of the crankcase here. And we're going to take these 6 off. Now, like we did on the cylinder head, we want to make sure we know where these are coming from. So I'm going to put these bolts down in the exact order that I take them out, so that I know where they go. So I just put them kind of like in a circle in the order, and then I'll remember how they're supposed to go back. Okay, so I've taken the 6 hex flange screws out, or bolts, and now it says number 2, using a flathead screwdriver as a wedge, carefully separate the oil pan from the crankcase. Now, the piece that we really want to be careful with is the oil pan gasket, or the crankcase cover gasket, because that's a piece that will break. It's very flimsy, it's very thin, and it will break on you. So that's the piece that we try to minimize breaking. But if it does, then it does. In our case, it stayed flat on the crankcase cover, or oil pan, which is fantastic. So I'm going to set the oil pan off to the side, and then before I forget, I'm going to put all my bolts back in. Now it looks like the manufacturer did put some oil in this engine. I thought it would have come dry. So I do have a little bit of oil spilling out of here, but not that much. Again, we just reinstall all fasteners to where they were originally, and that keeps those fastener threads in good shape, and we know right where those fasteners go. Okay, so remove the old gasket, discard. We don't need to. Gasket stayed in place. There's no rips, there's no tears. Fantastic. I mean, if you're running this engine a lot, you would want to replace the gasket, but for our purposes, we're going to keep it. Next is going to be to remove the camshaft. Remove the camshaft from the crankcase. So the camshaft is this big wheel here. Let me clean it up a little bit. Now, in almost every circumstance, the camshaft, which is a part of the timing system, and what I mean by timing is the valves opening, closing when they should, the spark plug going off when it should. That's timing, and all of those things have to be just right for the engine to work. Because, for example, when we need the engine to bring in air and fuel, we need the intake valve to open and the exhaust valve to be shut. When the engine gets to top dead center, when the piston right here gets to where it is exactly right now at the very top, that's when the spark plug goes off, or actually just before it gets to the top. I mean, barely just before. We need the spark plug to go off. So all of those mechanisms have to be timed just right for the system to work, for the engine to operate. So the camshaft is a big part of that. Now the camshaft should just lift out of the engine like that. Now let me show you talk to you a little bit about the camshaft, sorry. So the camshaft is going to be 2 times the size of the ring gear on the crankshaft where my finger is. So that's the crank ring gear. This is the cam. And it's going to be 2 times the size because it's spinning at half the speed. So, you know, for every time that the crank gear goes around, the cam only goes around half the time. Or you could think of it, for 1 full revolution of the cam, the crank has gone around twice. You know, kind of think of it like a bike, right? The bigger the wheel, or the sprocket, in this case the gear, the longer it takes for it to make 1 full revolution. So it's spinning alongside the ring gear on the crankshaft, and you notice that it's got 2 raised areas. These are called lobes, kind of like lobe on your ear. These are called lobes. And as the camshaft is spinning, the lobes are riding against these things. Now these kind of look like valves, short little valves. They're not, they're called tappets. So the tappets are resting right along the lobes, and as the camshaft comes up, when it gets to this raised part of the lobe, see that? So it kind of looks like an egg. It lifts the tappet, and the tappet, let me go find. And the tappet is connected to the push rod. So here we are. Cam comes around, lifts the tappet, which lifts the push rod. And what did the push rod push on? Remember? The push rod, I'm running out of hands here. The push rod pushed on the rocker arm, lifted the rocker arm, which opened up the valve. That's how the system works. So the camshaft is opening and closing the valves based on where that lobe is. Pretty cool. So let's take out the tappets. So remove camshaft, we did that, fantastic. Next, remove governor gear and governor shaft. Now, here's a governor gear, and the governor shaft is here. And the governor shaft has a real bad reputation of getting bent easily. So that's one of the parts that I encourage students to just leave in the engine. It keeps it straight, and once it gets bent, it doesn't operate like it should. So we're gonna keep that governor arm, governor shaft in the engine. We're also gonna keep the governor gear inside the crankcase cover, oil pan. There's no reason to take it out. There really isn't. I will tell you briefly how this works though. This governor gear is riding along the camshaft. Its teeth are meshed in with this camshaft, and as the camshaft spins, so does this. And the faster it spins, check this out. Can you all see? These little wings start to spread out. And when they spread out, notice what happened to this pin. It pushes out, right? See that? Let's do it again. So they're spinning, it kind of spread out, pushes that pin out. When that pin pushes out, it pushes on the flat part of this governor shaft. And when it pushes on the governor shaft, it spins, or it rotates out here. And when it rotates on the exterior of the engine, it rotates this governor arm just slightly. I mean, we're only talking, gosh, I don't know, 5-10 degrees. And when it rotates, it pulls on that linkage. And when it pulls on the linkage, it opens and closes the choke. Open and closes the choke, or the throttle, wrong side. Open and closes the throttle and controls engine speed. Okay. All right, so we have the camshaft out. We're going to leave the governor gear and governor shaft. We remove the tappets. So remove tappets, remove the tappets. Mark intake and exhaust for reinstallation. So we'll put the tappets over here. Now we're going to remove the connecting rod cap. Connecting rod cap. Rotate the crankshaft to allow access to the 2 hex flange screws on the connecting rod cap. See figure 852 to remove. So let's see. So this piece right here that I'm about to rotate by hand is called the crankshaft. And see, the crank spins. What's attaching to the crankshaft is a connecting rod, and the connecting rod attaches to the piston. So watch what happens when I rotate the crankshaft. See the piston go up and down? That's happening because of the connecting rod, and we're going to take off the connecting rod cap, which can be a little tricky. So we're going to switch out this deep socket to a shallow socket. Okay, so we loosen that one, and then we get down to this other one. And really this is just an exercise in manipulating the crankshaft. What I mean by that is just spinning it until you can access those bolts. But it absolutely does help to use a shallow socket. So I've got those loose. Now we're going to get in there and take those off. Now once we get this connecting rod cap off, the connecting rod will be loose from the crankshaft, and from there we can take the piston out. So we're going to just lightly wedge the cap off. There's a cap. So this is the bearing journal, or the bearing, sorry, this is the journal. There's the two bolts I just took out, and that's the other half of the connecting rod, which I'll show you the primary side here in a minute. So we're going to take that connecting rod, push on it, and that's going to push the piston right out of the engine. So here's the piston.